Good Saturday morning, everybody. Welcome back to Weather on the Go, all your weather coverage. In today's weather forecast, I'll be covering more severe weather today and on Sunday across the eastern two-thirds of the country, with a winter storm ongoing across the Midwest and the Great Lakes today into Sunday, and then another big storm system moving in next week with more heavy rain and severe weather as well across the middle of the country. If you guys are not yet subscribed to the YouTube channel, hit the subscribe button down below so you don't miss out on all of my daily weather forecast updates each and every day here on this channel at 9 a.m. I cover southern Canada, the United States, and the tropics, so hit the subscribe button down below, and don't forget to press the like button, the thumbs up button down below the video. Definitely much appreciated. The more likes we get, the more people that view the video, so definitely appreciate all of the likes on there. But going back to yesterday, we had a tornado outbreak. We actually had 11 tornado reports yesterday, and this number I do feel will be growing. We actually had a long-lived, long-track supercell that produced a tornado here in western Mississippi, moved up into central Mississippi with catastrophic damage reported. We also had 48 wind reports and 2 hail reports for a total so far of 61 severe weather reports from yesterday on Friday, March 24th. But going ahead to today, we have that trough and that system pushing off into the eastern two-thirds of the country. We have very strong mid-level flow aloft here in the mid-levels of the atmosphere, so we're primed for more severe weather up across the mid-Atlantic here and also across the southeast here into South Carolina, Georgia, eastern Alabama, into northern Florida as we head in through the day today. We also have a couple areas to watch for at least a low-end chance for tornadoes. For the first area up here across western New York State, getting into northern PA here, and also northeastern Ohio. A secondary area down here into South Carolina, much of Georgia, and eastern portions of Alabama. So we'll continue to watch that throughout the day today. That is also coinciding with damaging winds and large hail. So going through the morning hours, we got the snow back here across northern Illinois, Wisconsin, getting into lower Michigan here. We have some snow piling up, accumulating snow at that. That's across the Traverse City region, getting through Green Bay, Milwaukee, down through the western suburbs there of Chicago. But through the morning, we have to watch some of these storms. We could be seeing some damaging winds, some large hail from the mid-Atlantic all the way down here through portions of the southeast. That will clear the East Coast by mid-afternoon at 3 o'clock, but we're still seeing the snow on the backside up here toward Traverse City, Michigan, back here toward portions of Kalamazoo, getting in toward Milwaukee, Green Bay. We're still seeing the snowfall through this afternoon. Then the snow, as we head into the evening, will be pressing up farther to the north and east across Ontario and Quebec, Canada. We'll also be seeing some snow, maybe some sleet mixing in as well across Maine, Vermont, New Hampshire, and upstate New York. We'll see all rain across the I-95 corridor from Boston to New York City, Connecticut, into Rhode Island as we head into this evening. Then as we go into Sunday morning for your Sunday morning commute, church services out there, going to be pretty quiet across the eastern two-thirds of the country here. Maybe some precipitation back across the Illinois Valley to central Iowa. That's more of a nuisance, but then that system will be pushing off the East Coast and across southeastern Canada by Sunday morning. So looking here at the winter storm side of things, we have winter storm warnings across northern lower Michigan, southeast Wisconsin, including the Milwaukee area, getting down into Rockford, Illinois, and even the Davenport Quad Cities, where we are expecting some significant snow, at least for this time of year, across portions of this area. And we have winter storm warnings across here northern Maine, with winter weather advisories across much of the rest of Maine except for the coastal regions and northern portions of New Hampshire as well. So we'll be watching that. Looking at the total snowfall accumulation from now through Monday morning, we are going to be adding up a good 5 to 8 inches, maybe some isolated 9-inch totals here across northern lower Michigan, across Lake Michigan into southeast Wisconsin, northern Illinois here. That will cross into southeastern Canada as well. We'll also be adding up 5 to 8 inches of snow up here as well in the north central portions of Maine. Some lighter totals farther south you go toward the coastline areas, and maybe a couple inches, maybe 2 to 4 inches of snow here into portions of northern New Hampshire going through this weekend. So definitely some snow piling up, some shoveling, some snow blowing and plowing to do through this weekend across those areas. But farther to the south, we got a stationary boundary setting up across the southeast and the Gulf Coast states on Sunday here tomorrow, and this is going going to be the focal point for more severe weather going into Sunday afternoon and Sunday evening. You see the dew points right up against that front are in the 60s and even some low 70s there to the north of the front, much more stable, cooler air. So we're not seeing any severe weather across the Tennessee Valley or the Mid-Atlantic. But zooming it in where we do see the severe weather, you see the dew points right along and south of that frontal boundary. That stationary front will be in the 60s, if not the low 70s in some of these purple shaded areas. And this will contribute to CAPE, or convective available potential energy. You need this for thunderstorms, and the higher the value, the better the chance of severe weather. And we do have some decent values where you see the yellows and oranges here from New Orleans, getting up into southern Mississippi, southern Alabama, southern Georgia, and to northern Florida here. That's where we have those values over 2,000 joules per kilogram by peak daytime heating on Sunday. So that's why the Storm Prediction Center has an elongated area of a level 2 of 5, a slight risk for severe storms from central Louisiana through much of southern Mississippi, southern Alabama, into south central Georgia. And then a marginal risk that extends over there toward coastal Carolinas getting into the Sunday time frame. We are watching out for 60-mile-per-hour winds across this area, as well as some quarter, maybe some half-dollar size hail as well from Louisiana to the Carolinas, and the threat for tornadoes. We have an area right along much of the Gulf Coast states of a 2 to 5% shading of tornadoes, with the highest potential just south of the Atlanta metro area toward Macon, Georgia, just south of Birmingham, Tuscaloosa there, and then getting into southern portions of Mississippi towards the Jackson, Mississippi area, getting through Sunday evening. Looking at this, the storms won't be turning too much farther to the south. They're going to be kind of, once they develop, they're going to be kind of parallel to the front. So they'll move from west to east generally with a strong mid-level flow. We have a zonal flow in the mid-levels on Sunday. So starting here Sunday mid-morning, 9 a.m., not much going on. A couple sprinkles, some drizzle out there with all the moisture moving up against that front here. But then as we get into mid-afternoon, we'll start to initiate some storms, scattered storms from East Texas, Louisiana, all the way to the Carolinas. Any one of these storms could turn severe with damaging winds, large hail, and a few tornadoes possible by mid-afternoon. That will continue through the evening hours with kind of an MCS or mesoscale convective system starting to develop across portions of Mississippi, Alabama, and western Georgia. That will propagate from west to east, bringing more damaging winds, large hail, and a couple isolated tornadoes through the evening hours. And then we'll start to shut off the severe weather by Monday morning at 6 a.m. Maybe some remnant showers and storms, but these probably will not be severe by Monday morning as the instability will be waning by then. But it will be producing heavy rain. Make no mistake about it, Sunday into Monday, so the 26th into the 27th, lots of widespread heavy rain here from South Carolina through Georgia, Alabama, into central portions of Mississippi, and perhaps a few areas into eastern Louisiana as well. Widespread 1 to 3-inch rainfall totals here, especially where we have repeated rounds of storms through the afternoon and the evening hours on Sunday. But then going into early next week, to start the work week, we're going to see a zonal flow takeover, or a quasi-zonal flow. We're more Pacific flow from the eastern Pacific Ocean. What you see is what you get to the north of the boundary, or to the north of the jet stream here. You're going to see more of these cooler temperatures in the teens and 20s, some 30s and 40s as well across the Great Lakes and the Ohio Valley, much of the Northeast. Right along and south of the jet stream here, and some of these stationary boundaries setting up, you'll have warmer temperatures, more moisture out there. Temperatures will be surging into the 70s, 80s, and even some 90s down here into central southern Florida on Monday. Much of the same on Tuesday. So again, what you see is what you get getting into early next week. But we will be talking about our next big storm system moving in as we head into the West Coast by Tuesday afternoon or so, and that is on March 28th. A fairly significant trough will be digging in across the West Coast, across southwestern Oregon, northern and central California. That will move down into southern California and eventually into the desert Southwest on Wednesday, March 29th, by the middle of next week. So Tuesday morning, we're already seeing precipitation here across Oregon, northern California. Much of this will be snowfall, especially in the higher elevations. The coastal areas, though, of Oregon and northwestern California will see some heavier rainfall by Tuesday morning. That moves farther inland. So the Sierra Nevadas now, we're starting to see those 1, 2, even 3-inch per hour snowfall rates here by Tuesday evening. That continues more or less through Wednesday morning, getting into the middle of next week. And then even into Thursday morning on March 30th, we're going to see more heavy snow across portions of the Intermountain West from Idaho through western Wyoming, the Salt Lake City area, getting down through Utah there, Nevada, and then we have some rainfall farther south towards San Diego, Los Angeles, and portions of San Francisco through that Thursday morning time frame. So adding up the snowfall with our next big system out west from Tuesday, March 28th through Thursday, March 30th, we are going to be seeing a widespread 1 to 2 foot snowfall totals here, with some isolated higher totals than that across much of the Sierra Nevada mountain range here into northern California. We also see some decent snows here into the higher elevations of Nevada and over there toward the Salt Lake City area. We could be seeing a couple areas over 6 inches getting into the higher elevations through next week. And again, more heavy rain, much of the same that we've been seeing with this weather pattern going through the last couple of weeks. We have more heavy rain going through next week across California. So the coastal areas will get hit the hardest from San Francisco down through Los Angeles. We could be seeing 1 inch to 2 inches there. The heaviest totals will be across northwestern California, where we could see over 2 inches of rain going through that Thursday, March 30th time frame. And that is concerning. Again, we have saturated soils. We've seen lots of rainfall across California and the West Coast over the past couple of weeks. So we are, at no surprise, seeing a marginal to slight risk for flash flooding, especially those coastal areas into central California as we get into Tuesday, March 28th and Wednesday, March 29th. As we get into late next week now, Thursday, that trough will dig all the way south into the northern Baja of California, Arizona, down into southern California as well on Thursday before ejecting across the central plains here. A little bit of a ridge across the east, so this is concerning for a severe weather setup. So on Thursday, we have temperatures surging back with return flow here into the 60s, 70s, and even some middle 80s down here into central Texas. And even on Friday, we have the warmer temperatures returning farther north. Chicago could be up into the middle 50s. Indianapolis, we could be in the mid 60s, and even St. Louis up near 70 on Friday to end the month of March, on Friday, March 31st. But on Thursday, we're going to see that start off with some return flow of the Gulf of Mexico moisture. Dew points will be back in the 50s, some middle 60 dew points down into Texas on Thursday. And that is why the Storm Prediction Center is already putting a day 6 severe weather probabilities out of a slight risk from southern and southeastern Kansas through much of central Oklahoma, including the Tulsa, Oklahoma City, and Wichita, Kansas regions, and farther south into north central and west central Texas. This does include Wichita Falls, Vernon, Texas, the Waco region, and then getting down here toward Dallas-Fort Worth as we head in through the day on Thursday. The reason being, we have another strong trough moving in, and around the base of that trough, we're going to have some pretty strong mid-level flow in the jet stream on Thursday. And you can see by Thursday evening some isolated to widely scattered supercells with big hail, some damaging winds, and yes, maybe even some tornadoes by Thursday evening. It does appear to be right now at least an overnight threat. So this will be after dark going into Friday morning here across the central southern plains. Just some rain showers, maybe some rumbles of thunder up across the Midwest and the western Great Lakes on Friday morning. Then as we go into Friday afternoon, that entire system pushes east. We got a pretty classic dry line set up here across the central and southern plains with dew points ahead of that into the 60s all the way up into southern Iowa, Missouri, eastern Kansas, even including the Kansas City region. And that's why I think on Friday, the Storm Prediction Center doesn't have any probabilities yet, but I do think this pushes farther east here across the southwestern Ohio River Valley. Portions of the lower Missouri Valley and the Arklatex, again, will be under the gun for more severe weather as we head into the day on Friday to end the month of March. And again, the reason being, we have another strong mid-level jet pushing across these areas into the lower Missouri Valley, the Arklatex, and portions of the southwestern Ohio Valley. That will coincide with that return of moisture, and we'll see more storms popping here from the Kansas City region down into portions of Arkansas, Missouri, down into eastern Oklahoma, northeast Texas by Friday afternoon. That pushes to the east here. We could even have some more storms in toward the Rio Grande Valley even by Friday night. But you do notice to the north, we have cold enough air. We have a narrow zone of some snow there into the northern areas into Wisconsin, the UP of Michigan, central portions of Minnesota toward the Twin Cities, and back into South Dakota Friday night and even into Saturday. So a narrow stripe of some snowfall farther to the north as well. With the ensemble guidance, the GEFS ensemble already showing some decent chances for at least a couple inches of snow Thursday into Friday across northern Wisconsin, the UP of Michigan, much of Minnesota, especially central and northern Minnesota, and then back into the eastern Dakotas, and really much of the same for the Canadian ensemble guidance, with maybe some lighter totals with the heavier totals farther off into southeastern Canada. But looking longer range into the first week in April, it does look like we're going to see below normal temperatures persisting across much of the north central United States, and we're going to kind of dampen the ridge farther south. So if you have any vacation plans, take them to Florida, because we'll have well above average temperatures down here for the first week of April, and it will be active though. So we'll see some active weather across the Rio Grande Valley, getting down to coastal Texas and much of the southeast. In between though, we'll have below normal precipitation across the central plains back into the Four Corners region, and then yet again another storm moving into the west coast and the Pacific Northwest will bring above normal precipitation to places like Seattle, Portland, Oregon, and then moving farther inland into the Intermountain West by the time we get into that first week in April. Well, thank you guys so much for watching. I definitely appreciate it. Remember to like the video, give it a thumbs up down below, leave any comments, questions, and concerns below. I'll get to those later on today. Subscribe to the YouTube channel if you're new, and hit the notification bell to get all of my daily weather forecast updates on this channel. Have a great Saturday, everybody, a great rest of your weekend, and I will see you all in the next video.